Latinos, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, Latins, Hispanics. We're those people that make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel. All right? And the self-proclaimed white man, so-called Caucasian, European, he's not white, he's red. They are Esau, Edom, Idumea, Mount Seir. All right, according to the scriptures, according to Bible prophecy, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. Okay, and pretty much we're, Lord willing, the prophet's coming back. And we come out week in and week out when we do our videos throughout the week to prophesy the downfall of this wicked kingdom, America, which according to the Bible, this is Babylon the Great. All right, and Babylon meaning confusion, you know. Just as the Bible says, Babylon is fallen, and we see it falling. This place is over for this place, man. There's nothing you can do to heal it, This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 24. Now I'm gonna just start at the top. Just start from 1, and Lord willing, the audio is good, but this is Isaiah 24 and verse 1. Behold, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai maketh the earth empty and maketh it waste and turneth it upside down and scattered abroad the inhabitants thereof. And the Most High is going to make this place a waste by thermonuclear destruction, all right, which is going to come from the ICBMs, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, that's going to lay this land desolate, okay? And the Most High poured the curses out on Israel and scattered us amongst all nations, all right? And it is amongst these nations that we have pretty much forgotten who we are, This is the book of Jeremiah 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. So that doesn't apply to just, Jeremiah. That applies to all the whole nation, all right? All the tribes of Israel, because even when you read in Deuteronomy, the Lord say, I'm going to even send your king into captivity, So it shows that the Most High punished the entire nation. We all lost our way. We all lost our heritage, forgot who we are, and even the prophets, Jeremiah, Jeremiah 17 and 4, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, and that's America, and a lot of our people, the damage of slavery, all right, is so heavy. Our people, they think they're free, Now, we might not be in the field picking cotton, but shit, you still have to wake up and punch a clock. So that's the modern day slavery, all right? That's the modern day plantation, They did such a good job with slavery. They took the chains off. Now it's more mental. It's to the point where our people think they're free, but you're not free. We're still in the land of our enemies, serving our oppressors, man. Right? This is the book of Baruch, chapter 3 and verse 8. It says, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse. So we have been scattered throughout this captivity, man, for a reproach and for a curse, Book of Baruch, chapter 3, and verse 8, it says, Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse. And part of that curse is being called nigger, spick, wetback. You know, part of that curse is the men of our nation, they have an evil eye towards each other. A part of that curse is a lot of the men of our nation, they're feminine. They're in the homosexuality, you know. And the new thing that's going around on the internet, is everybody interviewing this sodomite, Fleece Johnson, known as the booty warrior, man. They putting this man all over the goddamn internet. Amongst Israel, amongst the Sakari, and particular, you got Elazar. It's being brought out on how he likes to be pegged by his woman. And that's some sick shit. There's a real sick and twisted spirit out here, man. This is Baruch 3 and verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments. So that's those payments. Now you're subject under payments. Try not paying your rent. You don't pay your rent, your ass is out on the street, man. Hey, Shalom, y'all about to Shabbat. You don't pay your rent, you will be evicted. You don't pay your car note, they gonna come and repossess your car. You don't pay your car insurance, you don't register your vehicle. You have to make these payments, because if you don't, Esau could lock your ass up. He could hit you with all type of fines and penalties. So it's like that now. Imagine when they bring out this mark of the beast technology, which they're slowly implementing it through what? Through the art of what's something called gradualism, meaning it's being introduced to you whether you realize it or not. You go to the store, a lot of times you may not even carry cash. Cash is being done away with. Okay, Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk, and Donald Trump. Now what Trump has done, he's done away with government cashing of checks. Okay, they're doing away with the penny. Okay, then it's gonna go to the nickel, the dime, the quarter, then all dollars. Most people do not carry cash, man. Most people have credit cards, okay, or they go to the store, and what happens when you go to the store? They say insert your chip, okay, or you tap to pay. Most people don't carry cash like that, man. Cash is becoming obsolete. This is Baruch 3, verse 8. It says, finishing off, it says, and to be subject to payments. Yeah, student loans, child support, water. It's being brought out that Nestle is charging people for fucking contaminated water that they're stealing. How we live on a planet that, roughly is about 80% water. You could Google it. Now how we live on pretty much a water world, but this devil makes you pay for it, man. Okay? On top of him making you pay for it, he's giving you contaminated water. There's chemtrails in the air and shit. He's destroying the earth. This is the book of Lamentations, chapter 1, verse 1. It says, how doth the city sit solitary that was full of people? All right, and it's dealing with Jerusalem, the land of Israel. You know, when you go back to the time of Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians, you know, what happened? They came against us, man. The Most High allowed them to conquer us. Because that's how the Most High, he does it. You know, the Most High uses one nation to bring another nation down. Okay, and in the order of nations that were ruled upon the planet, it was given unto the prophet Daniel in the vision. You know, the head of gold would be the Babylonian Empire. Then you got the, you know, the pretty much the chest and the arms, you know, the Medo-Persian. You know, the next one would be the Greeks, then the legs are the Romans, you know. But now, you know, we're in the second leg of the Roman Empire. See, we're at the end, you know, and the last nation to rule is Esau, Edom. According to the prophet Esdras, it says Esau is the end of the world, but Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. You know, back in Lamentations, how doth the city sit solitary that was full of people? How she become as a widow? She was great among the nations, right? Going back to the days of David, Solomon, you know, Queen of Sheba. She would come up to seek wisdom. They would bring gifts. So we was great amongst you. You once had all these nations under subjection. All right. It says, how she become as a widow? She that was great among the nations and princess among the provinces. How she become tributary, right? Subject under payments. Right now we're in the position where you gotta render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Now it's coming out how the Department of Education, they're coming back, you know, under when this whole pandemic happened, 2020, the whole Biden, his 4-year campaign, him being the president, student loans, people didn't have to pay that shit back. But now it's coming back. They're coming for those student loans, man. And people are already suffering. You're seeing videos of, you know, people living out their cars, you know, and these are working people, man. People that may be working 40, 50 hours a week, but they have to live out their car until they can save them enough money, pay off some debt, because the rent is so fucking high. You know, then on top of you paying rent, shit, you gotta have lights on in it. You need internet. You know, most people were working from home. That started in the scamdemic, but a lot of people have lost those jobs, so now they're being forced back into the workforce. But you still need internet at home. So there's just certain things that you need in a society. But Esau makes it extremely hard for you to get or maintain it. You know. 2, it says she weepeth sore in the night, and her tears are on her cheeks. Among all her lovers, she had none to comfort her. All her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They're become her enemies. The other nations, man, they couldn't wait to see us fall. That goes back to Psalms 83. Okay, in the midst of the Babylonians coming to take our people down, Esau was right there helping them, right? And that's why it's written in Psalms, raise it, because they was actually helping our people, man. Helping our people, throwing us in captivity, slaughtering us, bringing us to the Babylonians. Okay, Esau is the top nation that hates us. And here in 2025, you still have, you know, coon ass niggas. They act so perplexed and puzzled when Esau calls them a nigger, or another race of people calls them a nigger. The other nations hate you. You know. I saw this one video of this so-called black woman. She was talking to an Indian. The Indian, she looked like an Israelite. You know, she looked like a dark skinned woman. But you hear her accent, you say, okay, that's an East Indian, and she's calling her nigger. Okay, and she got more hatred for our people than Esau. You know. This is Psalms 137. Psalms 137 and verse 1. By the rivers of Babylon, it says, by the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yet we wept when we remembered Zion. You know, our people, and even right now, the modern day Babylon is America, and we're weeping because We now understand who we are. We're the people of the Most High. We're supposed to be above these nations. We're trying to go back into our land. This is not our rest. And the quicker this place falls, yeah, we're gonna have to be, feel some of the, the pains of it falling. Hey, it's still good news. This whole situation with China, the Trump tariffs, how all these brands, so-called Birkin bags, shit like that, Rolex, even Rolex is being exposed. All that shit they just slapping a name on it, but you can get it for way cheaper. You know, you pay thousands of dollars for something that they might only be paid $5-10 for. Okay, then they wholesale it over here to you dumbass Americans for thousands of dollars, which you don't have. Okay, because all because you're in the spirit of trying to keep up with the Joneses. You're trying to impress people. You know.
Dumbass Eve. they be sitting there gloating on Instagram, Facebook. They got Birkins and bag and thinking they can do it something. And over there, Moab selling this shit for dirt cheap.
Dirt cheap. And then another thing that these women do is they go to Dubai to be human porta potties. Mm-hmm. They take trips over there, those rich ass Ishmaelites, and allow them to shit on them. All right, then they have to eat it. Then they come back with all type of infections and diseases, and that's big in America, especially down there in Houston. Yeah. And all over Texas, there's an epidemic going on, man. There's a lot of DL men, which that's big amongst men in America, especially the tribes. And DL means down low. And that's being exposed. So the STD rate is up. Everything is up here, man. It's nothing. The only thing that's left for this place is the Most High to bring more miseries and destroy it. Psalms 137 and 2. We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song. That's the same thing that Esau did. You can watch movies like 12 Years a Slave, Drum. Watch any one of these slave movies. They wake the slaves up late at night, because they're in a good mood. They've been drinking, and they sing us a song, nigga. Dance, sing, And I actually had a dream like that a few years back that, the troops came and they were making Jakes sing DMX songs, So that's coming back too, It says, for there they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted of us requires mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of, it says, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? Right, we here in our captivity. Our people are in a state of sorrow, but still they require you to be happy in the state of sorrow, with them ruling over you, in pure hatred. Verse 5, if I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. See, part of the gospel, the good news, is that we have a land. All right, because right now, this is not our rest. Over here, we have no continuous city. We have no certain dwelling place here. Shit, you don't own nothing, and you're never going to own nothing. There's a quote by Klaus Schwab, which he's being replaced, right, by another demon of the WEF, World Economic Forum. There's a saying that you will own nothing, but you will be happy. I mean, you're gonna just be happy. We're gonna give you enough just so that you're happy that you're still alive. Because what they want to bring is a mass culling of the herd, which means what? Which means they want to just kill a lot of people. It says. It says, remember, O Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the children of Edom. That's what we asking Most High to do. Remember his ass, man. Remember his sins. And now it's to the point where the sins of Edom, they have reached unto the heavens. What you've done to our people, man. All right, practicing on them, torture them in slavery, the buck breaking, selling the children, You know, Epstein Island, all this shit, man. You know, the demonic sacrifices. See, I believe up and from April 20th until May 1st is a high satanic holy day where they're doing nothing but demonic sacrifices, drinking blood. People go missing up until May 1st. Why? Because May 1st is May Day. Okay? This is Psalms 137 and verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who say, raise it, even to the foundation there. Meaning they're saying, destroy it, get them niggas, kill them. You know, meaning they were rejoicing at our downfall. They were happy. Even right now, they still feel like that. They clapping their hands at us. Yeah, you know, we got them. More niggas in prison, more niggas killing each other, selling drugs, more of their women are whores, sexy reds, being brought out that this fucking demonic bitch is a CIA agent. You know, making all type of weird, sexualized ass music. And that's all you see when you go on the internet. It's nothing but sex.
Seen Benatazak camp Friday. Had a whole bunch of little leaves.
I seen the thumbnail.
Yeah, see, those are all little archetypes of sexy red. Like,
Sexy red, Cardi B.
yep.
That's that generation. You know, but it's those generation of Israelites, they gonna die, man.
Yeah.
That's why the Lord said 2/3 of our people is gonna be cut off.
What scripture when he said, I'm gonna visit that third, fourth generation that hated him.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's that generation right there that hated him.
Yep.
That's the wicked Israelites from back then.
And the way they hate them, they despise the law, statutes, and commandments in this book. You know, these women, they're not in the spirit of being modest. So that's them despising the Lord. You tell a woman that, you know, actually you should be one to cover up.
Yep.
You know, you should maybe wear a dress, cover your head. Stop being so fucking loud in public. Be in the house more. You know, don't be committing adultery.
Yep.
You know, they call that toxic masculinity. Most High got some toxic nukes for your ass, man. Psalms 137 and verse 8. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, and that's this place, man. It ought to be destroyed. Okay, it's nothing you could do to make the Most High change his mind about not destroying this place. You know?
Book of Proverbs, chapter 9, verse 13. A foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple, knoweth nothing.
And that's all you women in America. How do you prove that? Just look at the hairstyle. You know, all these fucking colorful hairstyles. That's a woman that's clamorous and don't know nothing. You know, even women that, you know, might have degrees. They might be so-called smart. In this world, man, they don't know shit. You have been deceived by the serpent. It all goes back to the garden, all right, to Eve and the serpent. Okay, and that fruit that she ate was not an actual apple that grows on a tree, but it was the philosophies of the nation of the serpent.
You know what? That's crazy. I was going to say last night, when I called you, I was studying. You know what? That's why we don't watch vampire movies. And you know, like, a vampire don't get some power. It's that's the power. She's a white man. Sin couldn't come into the world once Eve allowed sin to come in. That man, the sin must be good. That's the only reason why the serpent has power, because when he was able to, you know, deceive Eve, and then she went back and taught him. You know what I'm saying? That's when he was able to get his power.
Yeah, because she started to believe. You know, and part of that fruit was feminism. You know, saying that you don't need a man. Our brother made an AI image that said, don't serve him. I forgot exactly what it said, but it was the serpent whispering in her ear.
I got the matter of fact.
You know, it was deep.
Deep, yep.
You know?
Yep.
But yeah, man, all the way back to the serpent. And these women, they're the modern day Eves. You know, because one thing about these women, they're never satisfied. And when you go back to the beginning, we was in our first estate. We didn't have to work. We were in paradise. You know, and what happened?
Right here.
Yep. It says, yep, brother made this post. You know, it says, why, and that's the demon. That's what the demons would be whispering, man. You know, and you can see she had blonde hair and fucking red demonic eyes and makeup on, you know. It says, why serve him? You are the prize. Take what's yours, freedom, power, wealth, Be your own God, obey no one. And that's how these women feel because that's what Satan been telling them. But the scripture say otherwise. The scripture says the man wasn't made for the woman, but the woman was made for the man. Which telling you what? That the man is the prize. We wasn't put here to please women. Women were put here to please us. You know? But hey, that's why I also say she that living in pleasure is dead while she's living. You know? So this is actually a queendom. This is actually America is actually a world for homosexuals and demonic women. If you're a man here, you're under extreme oppression. You know, because you're standing up, they calling you toxic. You get shunned. You know, you're outcast in society. You know.
That's crazy because that same picture is another post, same similar to that one. The same the man had been. So you could be
Oh yeah, you got that one too?
Yep.
Let me see that one. You know? This is that brothers be nice with these images. You know? I'm gonna read this one. It says, "This is Satan. This is what he be whispering in the ears of our people." Because you know it's true because we see our people doing this shit. Okay, and it's through the music. You know? It's through the music. It's through the movies. It's through all forms of media. Okay. And another thing you gotta pay attention to. Nah. Another thing you got to pay attention to is who's in control of the media. You know, so I'm gonna read it real quick. It says nothing. This is Satan whispering in Jake's ear. Nothing wrong with being effeminate and getting lineups. Right? You have men. They go to the goddamn barber every week. They get lineups. They cut their beard off. You know, I told a young chick that at work, you know, if he could grow his beard, but he cut it off. I said, hey man, you gotta start letting your beard grow. He was like, yeah, I know, I'm gonna start doing it. You know, but that's what our people do because that's a demon, because that's what's portrayed to them in the world through the media that the 48ers control. Who control the music industry? Jimmy Iovine and them, those are 48ers. So going back to Eazy-E, I forgot the double name.
What's the name? Hella.
Yeah, he's a fucking 48er. They control that shit. So the vibration of gangsterism, whoredom, okay? Who's really behind that? It's Esau. Because you have so-called conscious rappers among our people. Their music is not put out there like that, you know? Because they don't want that message out. Yep, that's Amalek. You know, most I say I will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. You know, it says nothing wrong with being effeminate. Now I'm reading from the quote. I'm saying this is not my words. And getting lineups, eat what you want. Meaning what? Eat pork, shrimp, crab. You don't gotta follow the dietary law. But what happens when our people don't follow the dietary law? They end up like Big Mama on soul food, getting limbs and legs chopped off and shit.
That's why I'm
See, that's from a life of eating what? Pork. You want to go to fucking Red Lobster. You want some lobster. You want some crab. Because you saw that on the TV. Or you might saw rich people eating it. So now you think that's a form of you making it. I had some lobster. You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing it big now. Most side looks down on that shit. That's why it says the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You know? It says, eat what you want. They just jealous. You can do it. Kill your brother. Love your oppressor. That's deep. You know, those two posts. That's demon. That's the demon of what? Breaking the dietary law, the evil eye, adultery. You know, being a whore.
You ever seen that old video of Muhammad Ali was on a talk show? And you had some nigga that was in a rock group, or some type of singing group. He looked like Trinidad James a little bit, and then they were like. You know, Muhammad Ali was talking about the oppression of his people. He was taking up for the
Oh, okay. I think I did. I used to watch a lot of his stuff, man. That's my favorite boxer right there. You know? We had Jake. Even though Ali was into that Islam shit, he was still
on.
Yeah.
He spoke his mouth. You know what I'm saying? ahead.
This is the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 8 and verse 1. He answered me saying, the Most High had made this world for many. So this world was many. Now I ain't gonna say what we said. Well, we know, a lot of people have come down here. They've been sent down here on missions to be the Jay-Z. But what does Jay-Z have to do to become to that echelon of a rapper? Because there's a lot of rappers that's better than Jay-Z. He had to do some shit to get on that level.
Sacrifice his nephew. He
Sac-
bought his nephew that car. He got to that car.
Also Aaliyah too, I believe. You know, I heard rumors of that. You know, he was with another rapper, lady named Emil, and she made a song called Quarrels. And in that song, she's breaking down the image of Caesar Borgia. She's talking about the RFID chip, the mark of the beast.
You know who she's today, right? I think I told you.
Ja Rule?
Killer Priest.
Oh, good. Okay.
That's how she knew about the Israelites.
Oh, all right.
And Jay-Z didn't want her to be with him.
Oh.
Like, that's why she ended up falling on Rockefeller.
Yeah, because he was nice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She had talent. You know, she made that song Quarrels, and she put the mark. I think that was like in which of course the apostles elders been new, but that was like in like 99, 2000. You know, but you had a lot of artists. I believe Tupac mentioned the computer chips.
Prodigy from
Prodigy.
That's why I think they killed him. He was on that. He was on Intel on that. You know what I'm saying?
I think he had an album called Tupac Illuminati.
Now, he had an album called How Dignity Dying.
Oh, the Hungarian dialect?
Yeah, he got an album called. I'm sure he got
That's what's up. 2nd Esdras 8 and 1, and he answered me saying, the Most High had made this world for many, and the world to come for few. So the world, the few is dealing with the elect, right? The joint heirs that's going to be in rulership with Yahushua. All right, the 1/3, 144,000. But it's through the line of the elect that all the nation of Israel is going to be brought back anyway. You know, but this is their world right now. So you got it. You know, just like these people have been sent down here on a mission to deceive, to torture and to worship Satan. They'd like to have been sent down here to prophesy. All right, we're saying before it happens, your world is ending. And call Allah Yahweh can't end fast enough. You know, and more miseries are going to come upon you people because you're wicked, because you don't want to listen. Like the brothers in Mississippi were saying, and they don't stop because they were programmed to be marked and in transit, passing the word, you know, but they can't say they haven't seen or heard. They didn't stop and listen, and the Most High really blinded their ears anyway, you know.
Program to die. There's the extras in the movie. They're like those fishes that's in the sea, those small fish, you don't know what the name of them. They just there for food for the other big fishes. That's them.
A lot of our people are lost, man.
Yeah.
You know, and another thing with the whole tariff situation, now you have these big chain companies like Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, Target. They're now coming out letting you know that you can expect empty shelves if Trump don't sit down and capitulate or surrender to China, which now China is gonna, they might make a deal because, you know, it's money, but do they really need America? They don't. But they do make a lot of money off this place because what? Consumerism. All these people do is fucking consume. You know? That's why when you go to Revelation 18, it says the merchants. China's one of the leading merchants on the planet. And they have good quality shit. In order for Trump to bring those factories and manufacturing back to America, that's going to take time and money. You know? Because that's the big problem in America, is jobs and money. Because right now, you're experiencing something called stagflation, to where wages are not increasing. You know, there's not much work out here. The gig economy, that's shit. You can't, you try to go out and, DoorDash or Uber, you're not making money. You're just beating your car now.
Yeah.
You know?
I think Uber started back sending those companies out of the country. source, come
It's the jobs, right?
jobs.
Because you don't got to pay them shit,
Yeah.
you know? Hey, Shalom. How about Shem Shabbat? This is Isaiah chapter 6 and verse 8. Also I heard the voice of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, saying, who shall I send, and who will go for us? Then said I, here am I, send me. And he said, go, tell this people, hear you indeed, but understand not. So it's people that literally, they might pass and they might hear is what we're saying. They might, you know, some of it might make sense to them, but they don't really understand it. Or they might pass and see us with the garments, they don't really understand it. They might see the sign, see the image, you know. It says, I see you indeed, but perceive not, because you don't perceive that us being, yes, we're out here with signs, the 12 tribe chart, you know, Yahweh Shai, the Caesar Borgia, and other signs, you know, signs of the mark of the beast being the RFID chip. But the major sign is what? We are the sign, you know, because the Most High has us out here standing upon our feet, all right? And us being out here standing in great boldness upon our feet is putting great fear in the elites and the other nations, which is why what? They now have to move faster, right? When you go to Revelation, it says what? It says the devil is come down unto you having great wrath because he know he got a short time. So just us being out here, oh yeah, that's like a clock. You know, the Israelites are waking up. We gotta hurry up and bring out a new order. You know.
That Noah's Ark was completed. You got almost all the animals.
Right, the animals being elected. You know, we out here building. You know, and we see the rain coming. You know, shit. I believe it was like maybe a day or two ago. You had this explosion in Iran.
Yeah, I seen that.
You know, I think about 25 people died, 500 plus people injured. But you know who's behind that? The 48ers. You know, and you know who's backing them? America. So that's wars, rumors of wars. There's earthquakes, uproars of the people. Summertime is coming. You know, and meanwhile the dollar's collapsing. They're telling you to prepare for more T attacks from Al Qaeda. Babylon's done. It's over.
You know, I was reading the comic books. It was a re-edition of an old issue from back in the 90s. It's called Youngblood. And it was like superheroes, you know what I'm saying? Youngblood was attacking some Arabs. And in the comic book, this is how they know. They were in the comic book, it was like the Arabs in the comic book was like, oh no, they go pray Satan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh wow.
And I read this comic book like 20, 30 years ago. But not, you know what I'm saying, but not knowing that, you know, at that time, you know, that
put
was
two together.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was like they call America Great Satan, like okay, Great Satan. And his angels, his fallen angels is coming.
So that's to tell you something right there. The other nations of the world, they refer to this place as Great Satan. Okay, who's the king of Babylon? Going into Esau, Edom. Yeah, Trump is the president, he's the face, but that's really Esau, the elites. Because Trump is just a puppet, you know. But the only thing he's doing, he's following orders. You know, because what did he say that he was going to do? I'm going to stop the war with Russia and Ukraine first day. I'm going to bring down prices. We're going to do this and that. He's reneged on all that shit. That's going to cause Egyptian against Egyptian, man. You know, Esau's going to start it off. He's going to go up against his government. He's going to have to because they're going to come for his guns. They're going to come for his land. They're already coming for the gold, you know. This is Isaiah 6 and verse 10. Make the heart of this people fat. You know, if you see a nigga talking about Egyptology, his heart is fat. You know, or saying that Jesus Christ is Lord. It's your heart meaning your mind, right? So that means that their mind is fat with what? Lies, doctrines, different philosophies, you know. Make the heart of this people fat and make their ears heavy, right? Their ears are heavy because what we're saying, they don't want to hear it, you know? Because I'm a 5%er, you know? I'm in Islam. Shalom. You know? Says, make the heart of this people fat, make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears. See, that was spiritual though. He was singing a so-called gospel song, never would have made it. You know, that's spiritual. You know, but even then he saw, but he don't really see. You know, it says, let shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their heart and convert and be healed. So that's all spiritual. The Most High has a select portion blinded from the gospel because he don't want them to be healed at this time. How they're going to be healed is by being the children of the elect. But that's good though, you know, because they're going to come back as gods, baby gods, you know, and we are what? The sons of God. They're going to come back with a new body, spiritual power. They're going to have Esau in slavery. The earth is going to be back in the righteous manner, you know. But our people do have to have a judgment for being wicked, man, for being drug dealers, murderers, sodomites, adulterers. You know, that's why the Lord's going to allow Esau to
Thieves.
and thieves too.
That's running rampant in our nation. I don't know.
You know,
They like to steal just to steal.
Rob and Jacob robbed the shit out of you. I saw this one YouTuber. He went to Cali, which is it's wild over there in Cali, man. He got robbed for like $300,000 worth of jewelry. You know, the niggas did it. You know, and you look at the dude, you think it's an Edomite, but he could have been an Israelite.
I seen that this morning. Yeah, I seen that this morning. Thumbnail. I ain't watching this.
You know, that's our people though, man. Verse 11. Then said I, Lord, how long? And he answered, until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, the houses without man, and the land be utterly destroyed. So that's until literally the nukes are coming. And you see a good glimpse of that from the movie Judgment Day, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. You know, Sarah Connor. The scene when she's at the park and she's holding on to the fence. She had a nightmare about being nuked. You know, the nuclear destruction that's coming. That's how the Most High is going to do away with this place. Fire and brimstone. But this time it's going to be by nuclear fire. Okay? The way ancient Sodom and Gomorrah got thrown down by fire, America has to go out in like manner because this is spiritually Sodom and Egypt. You know? Got something? All right. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 11. And verse 8. Revelation 11 and verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. Like that's a dead body. You know, you got that movie, I believe it's Boys in the Hood, when you say you want to see a dead body. We see them all the time. We see our people sagging, smoking Black and Miles. They're drunk in public. They're spiritually dead up here. Their mind is fat. Their ears are heavy. You know, they're like the wild bulls in the net. You know, it said you walk past the wrong area of the city, you liable to get jumped on by 20 plus niggas. And nowadays they call them YNs, young niggas. They'll beat you, rob you, just because you're not from that hood, so to speak. You know, I've seen this personally growing up, man. You know, one of the guys I went to school with, Ephraimite, he had walked past a group of Jakes, but I knew him. They was getting ready to jump on him, man. I stepped in like, nah, you know, chill. I know him. That's my homie right there. You know, but it's like 20 dudes. Imagine you getting whooped on by 20 dudes. You don't even know why they're jumping you. But they jumping you because you're on the wrong side of the town. They're wild bulls in the net. That goes back to the curses, the dead bodies out here, man. You know? Revelation 11 and 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which that's America. That great city is America, right? Once it was, but now it's not looking like that anymore. It's looking like, oh, China's going to be the next great city. Or Russia's going to be the next great city. You know, people are looking at these nations as the next to rule, you know? Which is why it says in Psalms, why do the heathen rage, roughly paraphrasing, you know, and imagine the vain thing. That vain thing is this them to continue to rule, you know, when in fact they already had their rulership, you know? It says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. Now, why is it called Sodom? Because like going back to Boondocks, where Riley say, he said, pretty much say, nigga, you gay. You know, that's heavy out here. You know, I've been seeing it on social media. You know, that shit is fucking. Sometimes you just gotta turn the phone off, man. 'Cause that shit is sick.
Yeah, so I be doing that, man. Like I be having it on my, YouTube, got it on, so now I just see something, take, the little three dots, hit that, press it. Don't recommend this video.
Yeah, yep. Don't recommend that shit. And
Yeah.
sometimes you don't watch it. It's just a thumbnail alone,
Oh.
or just it's just like a picture of an article you see.
Yeah.
I saw something that says there's a transgender exposing a list of men and the DMs, and it's like hundreds of thousands of men trying to meet up with this transgender, and they know it's a man, so obviously they're on the down low, and these are so-called men with families, straight men, and now that's being exposed. So now they want to kill her, So that's happening. That's big out here. And the STDs. There's new STDs. I forgot the name of it, but there's like some flesh eating shit.
Yeah.
So this is modern day Sodom, man. You gotta watch yourself, man.
That's how you know this place is over this out here. When you got stuff like that coming, it's
What's that? Deuteronomy said, and eat all the curses not in this book. Let's see.
I got.
Oh, good.
Book of Job, chapter 27. We'll start at verse 13. This is the portion of the wicked man with Yahweh, and the heritage of the oppressor, which they shall receive of the Almighty. And this report, that's that destruction, and this is like what's going on, all these plagues, you know what I'm saying, the famine that's coming. This is the portion of the wicked, those elites, you know what I'm saying? If his children be multiplied, it is for the sword.
There's a huge thing in America with the population rate declining. Now Jakes are still having babies, right? Because if you think about it, a lot of our people, they really don't know what's going on. And Ephraim means fruitful, so the northern kingdom, they pop out babies like it's nothing. But amongst the Esau, he's not really having children like that. And he's envious that Jake is still able to push out babies. He's still able to procreate. And a lot of our people now, what's going on is that Jake is procreating with his woman. So he see a Edomite woman with a Jake baby, he's really pissed off now.
That's why that flesh eating sex diseases out, because he's putting these diseases out so they can slow us down from reproducing.
It goes back to ancient Egypt. He wants to kill the men, but keep our woman. He's gonna kill it, because if you take the woman, you can put your seed in her, whatever. And that proves that the man carries the seed. Real quick.
Verse 14. If his children be multiplied, it is for the sword.
Right, so if Esau is multiplying, which he's not really multiplying like that, and so the Most High can destroy him.
And his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. Those that remain of him shall be buried in death. And his widow shall not weep.
Right, his widow's going into his woman. They're not weeping for Esau. All right. It's another thing that's popular on the web right now is these Edomite women. They're expressing their desire for the Israelite man.
They ain't saying that white men, even something like them, the Joan Rivers was saying that. Some of the other Edomite politicians were saying that they need to arrest the white man. They need to be arrested.
Because they're now seeing that he's damn wicked. They're not. She realized she gave birth to damn Damien. The Antichrist.
Verse 16. Now heap up silver as the dust and prepare a remnant as the day that Isaac's clay. That means, how like the terrorists all they make money off, what I'm saying? Billions of dollars off that terror. Put terrors on these countries, and they made money off of that. Trying to tax these other nations and stuff. Elon Musk made what, 37 billion? You know what I'm saying? So that's what that means. They heap up treasure and gold. They go to different other countries and take up their resources, and You know what I'm saying? And diamonds and gold, like military to go out there to kill off their leaders, so they can get their
Come
riches.
closer.
So they can get their riches.
Yeah, they called I believe they called economic hitmen.
Yeah.
See what Esau does, man. He's this double. He's really when it says that Esau was a cunning hunter and a man of the field, it means just that, because he's very cunning. He's very crafty. He's wise. Says he's more wiser than Daniel. So he sends economic hitmen amongst these other nations to try to buy out their leaders, to make them puppets of the elites. When they don't want to, let's say they're stand up guys. They don't want to sell out. They end up like Gaddafi. They knock their ass off, and they put in a puppet leader anyway.
They say heap up like riches like the dust. You take the dust and sand, you just ramp it up. They go there and just what you call it? That's why the scripture in Deuteronomy 28 call them locusts. They just eat up anything.
All the natural resource. He's a damn parasite.
Yep.
He takes the oil, the gold, the silver, the natural minerals, lithium. That's how they power all these damn cell phones. They have different reserves that they hit from these other countries.
Even Obadiah, when he was saying that, he's not an ordinary thief. Some robbers will eat grapes. This one, he'll take everything.
He wants every fucking thing.
Yep.
But at least they want total control. The interview between one of the Rockefellers and Aaron Russo, the reason why they want to put this chip in you is because they want total control over you. Okay, Esau wants to put your ass in a virtual reality world while he's ruling the earth in wickedness. That's what they want to do. They have I believe, I forgot what it's called, but it's like a technological womb, so that he could manufacture children using technology. Pretty much doing away with the natural order of man and woman.
Like this man said it, like Lord said, this man can never have enough. Like his belly won't be full to everything destroyed. He may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver. He buildeth his house as a moth, as a booth that keepers maketh. The rich man shall lie down, but shall not be gathered. He openeth his eyes, and he is not. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna go in the grave, man. He's gonna go into captivity. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna end up being poor.
And all those riches that he swallowed down, because you hear about Fort Knox and gold. Gold is not in Fort Knox. So Esau got that shit somewhere else. Silver, the natural pure diamonds, minerals, stones. Because real wealth, that actually comes from the earth. But Esau got that shit stored away somewhere. But the Lord has allowed him to store it, so when the elect are risen up as hunters, because right now, Lord willing, we're hopeful, like we're just fishing. We're fishermen. But the elect are going to be made hunters. They're going to go get it. Oh yeah, these dumbass Americans that you're trying to build a doomsday bunker in America, just fucking leave. That's not gonna stop the nukes from coming. You just building a high tech culture.
You saw make those movies. Y'all been thinking that nuclear happen. What happens? You can go on the ground, you go protected. That's not so.
You're not gonna be protected here. This is a damn graveyard. This is the elephant graveyard from Lion King, man.
That's why he put those movies out there. He want to kill everybody. He don't want nobody to survive. That's why he put those movies. They can kill everybody to survive.
Yeah, you got movies like what's that movie called? I just was looking at it. I don't think of it. Day After. One.
We got some ones from Twilight Zone. Some other movies that, was another one like back in the 40s or 50s when there was a nuclear holocaust, and then they went underground, they lived underground, like futuristic kind of, and then they was like having civilization underground under the mountains until everything passed over, they gonna come back and talk.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah,
at least they idolize the phoenix. What the phoenix does it's like it's reborn from fire. Like burst into flames, but then it's reborn.
Yeah.
So that's what they think they're gonna do. That's what Satan is telling them.
Verse 20. Book of Job, chapter 27, verse 20. Terrors take hold of him, as water tempest stilleth him away in the night. The east wind
Those terrorists is what? That nuclear war. You know, the sirens going off, the messages on the TV. Another good show that shows you that. Watch American Horror Story Apocalypse. All you need to watch is the first 2 episodes. You know, the first episode, you know, it's like the days of Noah. You know, people are shopping, they're going to weddings, they're having cookouts, they're punching in, they're punching out of work. Women are going to nail salons, they're getting their hair done. But then there's an alarm of what? This nation longs for nukes. Nukes are coming. Messages on the TV. You only got 40 minutes to get where you need to go. Everybody's fucking running around panicking.
Oh my God.
You know, that's how it's going to be. Then they mentioned the whole thing in Hawaii. Because you remember Hawaii had a scare
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
a few years back. And the brother down there got on live. And people were hiding in the manholes and shit trying to...
People went crazy down there, man.
People hiding in the manholes trying to escape nuclear destruction.
Yep.
You know?
I remember that. I was with the Purple Gang at that time when that happened. You know what I'm saying? I remember that. Yep.
They mentioned that in the show, American Horror Story. They say, oh, this is just like the thing in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
So that's people what? They don't, you know, they can't see it. You know, but it says also that the inward part is that their houses shall continue forever. So they think this place is never going to be destroyed. You know?
Mm-hmm. Verse 20, terror take hold of him, as waters of tempest stilleth him away in the night. That's that wave, you know what I'm saying? Like that wave, like you going surfing, that wave just brush you off and work, you know. That's that nuclear fire, man. You know what I'm saying? That lake of fire. Verse 21, the east wind carried him away. He departed, and as a storm hurleth him out of his place. See, that's what it said. Every island should have moved out of his place. You know what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah, that goes into the earthquake. It speaks about a great earthquake, the earth reeling to and fro like a drunkard. Mm-hmm. You know, and also the Most High might allow new lands to spring up. You know, you keep hearing about Atlantis, the lost city, this and that. When the nukes hit, it's going to cause chain of reactions, man. Volcano eruptions, tsunamis. You know, let me get that. Matter of fact,
they just like the Most High people in the furniture. You know, you redecorate your house. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna cause a pandemic.
Most High might make new islands for us, man.
Mm-hmm. New animals gonna merge. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Because Esau, he ain't touch everything.
Yep.
You know, he can't. The Most High won't let him. You know.
Verse 22, for Yahweh shall cast upon him, not spare, he would fain flee out of his hand. Man shall clap their hands at him, and they shall hiss him out of his place. So
that's the world rejoicing at your destruction. You know, just like you was saying, raise it. We gonna clap our hands at you. You know. This is Isaiah 24 and verse 20. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. So you imagine, what's that guy name from The Simpsons? I think it's Ernie, the drunk one.
Yeah.
He always stumbling around and shit.
Yeah.
But that's how the earth is going to reel to and fro from the great earthquake. What's going to cause the great earthquake? The nuclear destruction. You know, because there's nations on the earth that possess nukes. The most powerful nation is who? Russia. They got the most powerful weapons. Maybe a week or two back, China just tested atomic bomb. You know, India, they have nuclear weapons. They're trying to stop Iran from getting nukes, but you know, I speak as a man, I believe they already have it. You know? But that's what Trump is trying to talk to them about. He's trying to make a nuclear deal, stop them from getting nukes. Well, he can have nukes. But the reason why they need nukes is because they need to defend themselves from the 48ers. You know? So who are you to tell people that what they can't have to defend themselves that you have? And you're going around the world bombing people. You know?
They don't want you to fight back. That's why he said we're more called a hypocrite.
This is Isaiah 24 and 20. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. So it's not, when this place falls, you're not going to come up out the bunkers and rebuild. Because that's Esau's spirit. It says in Malachi, you know, the Lord, I will throw down but I will come back and rebuild. You're not going to come back and rebuild this time. You know, all the heathens on this land, even 2/3, they're going to die. But at least that do make it because they're smart enough to have bunkers outside of this country. They're going to go head first into slavery, man. You know, this is I just had it. But it says in Amos, he dig into hell. I got it. This is Amos. Book of Amos, chapter 9. And at the top it says, no escape for the Most High's judgment. See, Esau, you're not going to escape, man. You know, nobody's going to escape. You know, that's why we're praying. You know, but hey, if the Lord was to come back now, at least we'll be doing the work. You know, Esau, you're going to be found being a damn demon. Well, you're going to be found with us in your hands. Because what it says in the law, if a man still a man, if you be found, you know. Yep. This is the book of Amos 9 and verse 2. It says, though they dig into hell, then shall my hand take them. And it's talking about the elites. Them digging into hell, meaning not a place underground where you burn forever. That goes back to, you know, Christianity or Catholicism, which they get that from Greek mythology. You know, Hades. It's talking about them digging into the earth to what? Underground cities. You have something called domes, deep underground military bases. Right? When at least they have dug into hell, you know, and that shit is decked out down there. They have post offices, theaters, gyms, streets. You know, I remember years back during the scamdemic, a trucker, he showed you how he went through some type of underground tunnel and dropping shit off down there, man. So those cities are there decked out there, you know. It says, though they dig into hell, thence shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence would I bring them down. So you might try to say, oh, we're going to go to Mars, or we're going to, you know, because they have a space force. We're going to build a space station. We're going to leave the planet. The Most High got the chariots out there, you know. Down here on the ground, the Most High has the elect men, the infantry. In the ocean, he has Leviathan. There's no escape for you, you know. Verse 3. And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence I will command the serpent, and he shall bite them. That serpent is going there to Leviathan. And the Most High going to rouse them up. That's some terrible shit, man. Because you think about the ocean, you hear about the Loch Ness Monster and what's the other one? I don't remember the name. It's like a giant squid.
Oh yeah.
I forget the name right now, but it's some Kraken. Yep, about it. Some giant sea creatures, man. You know, but really, ultimately, Leviathan, because you don't know what's in the sea. It's depths that Esau can't reach. So Esau go down to the high, you know, during the second coming. The Most High is going to stir up Leviathan to get him. You know, or some new creature. You know.
You know what? It might be just like how what's the other brother name? Well, ate swallowed him and took him to Nineveh. Jonah might, the wife might just put him, you know, swallow him,
take him,
bring him to us. You know what I'm saying?
Take him,
bring him to us, cough him up, going into slavery. Thought you was gonna die, huh? Going into slavery. Oh, that's something.
That's heavy. Most High could do that too, because he did it to Jonah. You know. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 6. Revelation 6 and 12. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a grave earthquake. And that's going into the nukes, nuclear destruction. And the sun became black as a sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. They kind of show you that on the Matrix. When Morpheus was showing Neo the actual world, it was fucked up. It looked like nukes destroyed everything.
Yes.
And he said we don't know who struck first, but this is the result. The sun was blocked out, the moon, that's from the chain of reaction, all the smoke going up, blocking out the constellations. Even when the fathership comes, 13, and the stars of heaven fell onto the earth, even as a fig tree casted her untimely figs when she is shaken up a mighty wind. And that's those nukes being shot, and they're gonna fall in an arc-like fashion onto this place. 1 hour, the whole damn thing is gonna be made desolate.
Man, I'm trying to wrap my mind around that concept right there.
60 minutes.
60 minutes, huh? And how long it took it to build America up? For like 400 years?
Hundreds of years. And 1 hour is done.
That's like you building up a sandcastle. It took you 6-7 hours to build it, and all it takes is a second for you to knock it down.
One little kick.
Woo.
In this case, from the Most High, this a gust of wind. Just a moving his pinky.
Mm-hmm. That's Dragon Ball Z. That's on Beerus.
Yep. Put the spirit on them. Shoot the missiles now.
Yep.
Because can't nothing happen unless the elect is sealed.
Yep.
If the elect aren't sealed, we're very close to them being sealed because we see what's happening in the world.
Yep. That's just like the what you call it, the hourglass. Like the sand. You know what I'm saying? It's like a fuse. Like the destruction is based off the elect getting sealed. So it's going to, like, once we seal it, that's like simultaneous. Boom. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think it's going to be more official when the chip comes.
Yeah.
That's going to be more official when it's elect is sealed. Whoever going to take that chip, that's what elect is sealed.
Because you gotta think a lot of the elect are gonna wake up at the last minute, last second, if you will. Because the Most High gonna go snap it like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to. It's programmed. The Most High's programmed them to not take that, and then for them not taking that, the Most High might link them up with other believers. They might teach them. They may not know nothing. They might teach them the name. Esau. And they like, oh shit. Then they, at that point they'd be fully awakened. But it was the part of the movie for them to wake up at the last minute, or in the concentration camp. Most High might have you get apprehended, and you're ministering and prophesying unto brothers in there, and the spirit hop on them and start believing. It's just like the Book of Acts. Matter of fact, you get that. I believe it said about Paul when he started prophesying, the spirit fell on him.
That's why he said, then you should know my chosen.
Because they programmed something in the spirit like, nah, I can't get down with that. I can't do that. There's this movie called Six the Mark Unleashed. And in the movie, the guy, he was like, I think he was like him and his wife were like an ex-cop, something like that. But he wasn't really a believer. He wasn't a Christian. But in the spirit, he knew he wasn't supposed to take the mark. But by the end of the movie, he had been around believers from being in the camp with them, seeing them get beheaded. He started to believe. So it's a heavy movie. That X17 or 19? I think it's 19. Oh, okay. Okay. This is Acts 19 and verse 1. And it came to pass that when Apollos was at Corinth, Paul, having passed through the upper coast, came to Ephesus. It's why we got the book of Ephesians. You know, there was churches and there was synagogues of Jews in these places. Corinth, Ephesus. Was showing you that our people were scattered all over. So those when you read about the how you said the Greeks or the Grecians in the New Testament, those are Israelites that got scattered through the Greek captivity. The Hellenization of Antiochus. You know, it says, he said unto them, have you received the Holy Spirit since ye believed? And they said unto him, we have not so much as heard whether they be in Holy Spirit. So they didn't know, because all they knew about was with John, them being baptized. The Holy Spirit couldn't come until Yahushua went back up to the Father. So it took a while, and it came in order. And he said unto them, what then were ye baptized? And they said, unto John's baptism. Then said Paul, John verily baptized with the baptism of repentance, saying unto the people that they should believe on him which should come after him, which is Hamashiach Yahushua. So when John was baptized, he would teach you, Yahushua is coming. He's greater than me. You need to repent and believe on the Lord. Same thing we were doing. The true baptism is up the word. Yes, you can get dunked in some water, but you have to be washed with the word. Get that real quick.
Want me to get it?
Yeah, it's Psalms 119. I believe verse 9.
What's the 9th Street? Washington 9th Street?
Wherewithal, so the young man cleanses the way.
9th Street, yeah.
Got it. 119. The hell, shit, weird out here, bro. I think it's verse 9.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
The book of Psalms, chapter 119, chapter 119, verse 9. Wherewith thou shalt a young man cleanse his ways.
Right. How are you supposed to cleanse your way? But in order for you to you want to be cleansed, you gotta understand that you're filthy, and what makes you filthy is sin. Sin is transgression of the law.
By taking heed thereunto according to the word.
You going?
With my whole heart having sought thee, O let me not wander from thy commandments.
Right, the commandments, the law, statutes, and commandments. Taking heed to the word. Calling upon the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, repenting, turning back, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. That's the only way to cleanse your way.
All the scriptures on what sins you're dealing with. That means I go to what scripture was saying about it's in Romans.
The things I do, I would not.
Yeah.
That one.
Yep. It's called something else he was saying. Your members.
Fortify your members.
Mortify your members. Yep.
Which means
modify means to change. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Which means to cut off those ways, cut off that old man. Because you got to become a new creature.
Mm-hmm.
A new creature, meaning what? You might have been eating pork. You might love some damn pork chops, but then you come into the truth. You read the scriptures, you understand that there's a dietary law, and the Most High will judge you if you don't change your diet. Or adultery. You might have been thinking it's cool to look at another man's woman. All right? But then you get cleansed with the word and you say, oh shit, that's adultery. I'm not supposed to do that. Back in Acts 19, verse 4, then said Paul, John verily baptized with the baptism of repentance, saying unto the people that they should believe on him which should come after him, that is on Hamashiach Yahushai. When they heard this, they were baptized in the name of Yahushai. And when Paul laid his hands upon them, the Holy Spirit came on them, and they spake with tongues and prophesied. See, so that's how it works. You could, be ministering and teaching, but it's the Spirit to jump on them too. That's what happened to us from watching the videos. You go to the Passover, and you get anointed. Brothers will anoint you. You got something?
Going back to modify these ladies. Book of Romans, chapter 7. We'll start at 14. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal.
Right,
soul under sin.
we're carnal, soul under sin. Meaning what? Pretty much we're subjectable to sinning. But we need the law because that's what's gonna keep us in check. Put you back in the spirit.
That's not right. It's basically like the spiritual, what you call a sheep.
The rod.
Yeah.
That's what David said. Thy staff and thy rod comfort me.
Comfort. They put you like, you're going the wrong way. Stay narrow, straight and narrow. You know what I'm saying? There's no right, left, and fall. Sheep can fall off the cliff, or it can fall right into the water and drown them.
That's why the scriptures also is known as a reed to measure.
Yeah.
Could you read the scriptures? You see where I measure up, what I got to work on, what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
You use the scriptures to measure yourself. You also use the scriptures to measure what time we're in.
Yep.
Like we're nowhere at the end from the prophecies that's happening.
For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, soul under sin. Verse 15. For what which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I.
Right, the things that you find yourself in this flesh. You try to hold yourself to discipline, but then you end up doing shit you ain't mean to do. Having thoughts like then you think like this shit. I don't want to think about this shit.
Yep.
You gotta rebuke Satan, call upon the name.
Yep.
This flesh is wicked, man.
Yeah.
Which makes this a battle. It's a real battle between your spirit and your flesh. And they're constantly fighting them one against another.
That's how it works. Go back to that's what I'm saying. That you your own worst enemy. You know what I'm saying? You gotta fight yourself. You gotta look yourself in the mirror like you go. You know what I'm saying? Not the person that's out there in the world. You your own enemy. You know what I'm saying? They just there to add on to whatever you're going through. You gotta fight your flesh to not fall into what they into. You know what I'm saying? Verse 16, if then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that is good. So go into the law and, like you said, measure yourself up to the expectation of what the Lord wants you to do or not to do.
And it's through that that we're able to judge others.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're telling others that, you shouldn't smoke, that's sin. It's because we don't smoke. It'd be different if we was out here with a black and some weed, and then we're telling you, hey, you're not supposed to smoke. Then you could jump back and say, well, you smoking. How you gonna tell me? So Mosai had us, wash us off with the word so we could come out here and show our people their sins. That's what it says in Isaiah. Lift up your voice like a trumpet, show my people their sins.
Now then, verse 17, now then it is no more that do it but sin that dwelleth in me.
And sin dwells in all of us because we're in this flesh.
Right.
And we're in the world surrounded by it. So you might not, you can't really help it. That's why you do the best you can. But that's why we need Yahushua, because he came to die for our sins, and it's through faith and belief on him that his blood will cover us. Because you need a sacrifice. All you Old Testament niggas, okay, where's your high priest? And are you still making sacrifices? No, you're not. Because if you are, you're not doing it the correct way. You don't have a lamb without blemish or a male goat, and how do you know?
You do that shit now, your ass going to jail.
Right, Esau lock your ass up.
We got Satan working.
And look up the damn price of a lamb or a goat. Jake don't got money for that shit, man. You try to make sacrifices. You need Yahushua, man.
Yep.
And then let's say you do get a male without blemish, you have to take it to the Levite priest. There ain't no Levi. We gonna take it to Alazar. You getting pegged.
So his sacrifice is
Definitely not welcome.
Work. You know what I'm saying? It's play.
You take it to him, the Most High might smack both of your eyes with a thunderbolt, man. I've seen his article. This one Jake, he went out to fishing, and his ass got hit with a lightning bolt, killed him.
Yeah, you told me. Yeah, I remember you told me.
This one, my little teenage girl, she was in her bed in the room on the phone, and the lightning bolt came through to her damn roof. You know?
That happened to a old ad. That's a few years ago. That shit, he was in the room or something. Thunder lightning came through his room and hit him. But he lived though.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
she lived too. Lightning bolt lived. You know what I'm saying? Her ass lived for that. That's some scary shit.
Yeah.
That's the power of the Most High. You think it's raining, I'm getting the house. The Most High can still get you.
There ain't no escaping.
Nope.
Verse 18, for I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good. Things for to will is present.
Right, so you have to constantly pray, watch your thoughts, examine yourself. You have to constantly examine yourself by measuring yourself with the word. You know? Yeah, it's a daily thing. You know?
Which is good, I find not. For the good that I would do not, but the evil which I would not that I do. See? You know what I'm saying? I want to do good, but I'm still doing, I might think of a shorty or somebody, you know, wife or somebody, you know what I'm saying? But they're not like, what I'm doing. I'm thinking like that. I'm thinking even about another brother or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or thinking about cutting corners to get money, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I can't think about this, you know what I'm saying?
That's those demons, man, working on your mind. Because you got to think, Esau and the elites, they're constantly sending up curses too. Send up those curses, man. I send up curses on my prayers. Because I know they're sending up, which there's no enchantment against us, but they're still doing it.
Yep.
And they're still trying to accuse us to the Most High. So we're putting up curses right back on you elites. 2/3, demonic ass people.
Like my prayers out every once in a while, I pull up some curses, you know what I'm saying?
No spies, agents, false prophets, no nating them, you know.
Verse 19, for the good that I would, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. Now if I do that I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to do good, I'm fighting, but I'm falling to, you know what I'm saying? But it's not me, it's that sin, it's the demons. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's no, basically saying no control. You know, he has no control over his thoughts, things that he do. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the creature being made subject to vanity. You know, you might find yourself thinking about some vain shit like, man, woman. You know what I'm saying? Fuck, I want. Then you gotta realize that, oh shit, that's really not my thoughts. That's Satan putting that in my head. You know, I be telling myself like, man, it's not my thoughts, man. You know, that's a demon.
The scripture say the man sleeping with his mouth, but not with his heart.
Not with his mind. So even some things you say, you might think like, why the fuck did I say that? Because a man sleeping with his tongue, but it's really not. His heart ain't really, you know, he don't really feel like that. But he might have said something, he might have slipped up. You know?
Verse 21.
Just like you might break a scripture down wrong, but you might know the right breakdown, but you might say the wrong thing. You gotta go back, oh, you know, I can correct myself. You know, I said this is wrong. This is what I actually meant. You know?
I do that, I find myself doing that. Like I go backwards, that's why I said, let me go back over it again. I wrote that down. Verse 21, I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me. So he found the law. When he said, when I will do it, it's like a shadow. When you do a good, that evil, that sin's with you, it's going to follow us to sin. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's the Spider-Man, you know, that's a good analogy of that too. Venom. Because Peter Parker be battling with Venom, you know what I'm saying? He want to do good, Venom like,
and that's that evil spirit.
Yep.
You know, just like it showed you, you know, and growing up, you might have seen a TV show with the good angel and the bad angel.
Yep.
You know, the bad angel whispering shit. It's like, which one you going to give into? That's why I said in Sirach, when you come to serve the Lord, prepare your soul for temptation. Get your mind right. Understand that you're going to be tested to see if you're going to sin. You know, but then when you do sin, that kills you. You know, because it could weigh you down, you could lose faith, you know. That's the spirit that the five wise virgins are in. They're constantly watching, praying, fasting, reading, studying. You know, looking out at the prophecies. You know.
For verse 22, for I delight in the law of Yahweh after the inward man, but I see another law in my members, warning against the law. See? That's how sin. All sin is warring with it. That's going to the flesh and spirit. You know what I'm saying? So you're warring with yourself. Like you just said, this scripture in Ezra, I think it was, he was saying that that's the condition of the
Yep,
Bible.
yep, I'm gonna get it. Actually, you want to get it. 7 and start at 50.
Second Ezra 7:50.
Yep. Actually, go to 56.
56.
The point is in 57.
Sorry, 56. The book of Second Ezra, chapter 7, verse 56. For a while we lived and committed iniquity. We considered not that we should begin to suffer for it after death.
Right, because that means what? Reincarnation. Because how you gonna suffer for it after death? Is you being born again in a new body, and you know the things that happen. You're living out a judgment for sins of past lives. You know, reincarnation. That proves reincarnation is biblical. You know, another thing that proves it is that the spirit of the prophets is subject to the prophets. You know.
Verse 57. Now answered he me and said, this is the condition of the battle.
Right, that's the condition of the battle. You know, you're the spirit versus the flesh. Right now, we're in a huge spiritual warfare with Esau constantly throwing up demonic sacrifices, curse, even our own people, false prophets. They use the scriptures against us to trip our people up. You know, they call us grapists for you know, the grape doctrine of Deuteronomy, breaking the scriptures down the right way. You know.
Which man that is born upon the earth shall fight.
So every man got to fight it. We're all in the spiritual battle. You know, it's a lot of our people, they're giving up over to those vile affections. You know.
Verse 58, that if he be overcome, he shall suffer as thou hast said.
Which that's the nuclear, that's the second death. You know, give into it. If you take the haragma, you're going to suffer nuclear destruction. You know. Go actually, still read 58.
That if he be overcome, he shall suffer as thou hast said. But if he get the victory, he shall receive things that I say.
Which meaning what? The crown of life, the kingdom. You know, you endure, you get the victory. That's you enduring it to the end. You know.
Verse 25. I thank thou through Yahweh Mashiach, our Lord. So then, with the mind I myself serve the law of Yahweh, but with the flesh, the law of sin. So you serve the law of sin. That means you dwell in the flesh, you serve sin.
Now, I believe that's what the Most High told Cain. He said, if thou doest good, will you not be accepted? But if not, then sin have dominion over you. You know, and you see what Esau is into. He's into bestiality. He's into all type of sick shit. And our people have surpassed the deeds of the wicked. You know? Back in Revelation 6 and verse 12, it reads, actually 13, I was at 13. Revelation 6 and 13. And the stars of heaven fell onto the earth, even as a fig tree casted her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. That's those nukes. 14. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. So that's going to be the reaction caused by the nukes destroying wind. What you can Google a mushroom cloud. You know, it shows you on the show Fallout on Amazon Prime. You watch the first episode, it shows you the nukes hitting in the mushroom cloud. You know, shit. This recent explosion that happened in Iran, you can see when the explosion goes off, that there's a chemical reaction that happens in the atmosphere. You know, that's what this means. The heavens roll together as a scroll. You know, the it says, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places, because that's the earth being rearranged, you know. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. So everybody's going to try to hide. Esau's going to try to hide in military bases, you know, underwater bases, mountainside resorts. You know, they're going to try to hide from the second coming.
That's why Psalm 149 goes into we shall bind these men and they
Matter of fact, get that. You know what I'm saying? That's a good precept. Finish it. Verse 16. And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. So man, they're gonna be shitting themselves, man. You know, when they see those chariots crack the sky, you know. Verse 17. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?
The book of Psalms, chapter 1, verse 49. And verse 7. To execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishment upon the people, to bind their kings with the chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written.
Right, and the judgment written is he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. You know, and that's why it says in Isaiah that they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. You know, and we're gonna have smiles on our face, slapping chains on your ass, man, selling you to the Sabians, just like you did us. You know, there's brothers that be making those videos, but you know, showing you how we gonna put Esau in slavery. You know,
Chains on them, like put this on. This chain special for you.
yep, slap a chain on his ass, man, throw him in captivity.
You gonna be like, no.
This is precept that real quick. This is Jeremiah 30 and 16. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured. And we've been devoured. We've been swallowed up. We've been put in captivity. We've been abused. We've been exploited. We've been devoured, man. You know, we've been shitted on. You know, how they persecute us in their media. You know, and all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity. They all have to go into captivity for what they did unto us, man. You know. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee would I give for a prey. So that revenge is coming, man. Avengers. I believe you have a sect of I'm not sure if it's I think it's Marvel, if I'm not mistaken, but they call them the Avengers. That's like the elect, X-Men, Avengers. You know. I'll probably end it. We'll end it right here. I'll end it right here. Unless you have any more precepts. This is Jeremiah 16 and verse 14. Jeremiah 16 and 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, said Yahweh Shem Yahushai, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Meaning there's coming a second Exodus that's going to eclipse the first one. You know, which is very great. Most High raising up Moses and Aaron and giving them power and having them go before Pharaoh and, you know, his enchanters, you know, and bringing the plagues of locusts, death of the firstborn, passing through the Red Sea, the destroying Pharaoh's army in the Red Sea. This time, Pharaoh's army is going to be destroyed in the Red Sea of nuclear fire. You know, the Most High is going to bring the elect through and have the elect look down on it from the chariots. You know, Jeremiah 16 and 15. But the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, talking about America, and from all the lands which he had driven them, and not just from America, but from all over the world. And I will bring them, and that proves that we don't have to get a passport and leave it, because obviously a lot of our people are not in the mindset to do that, nor do they have the financial, the financial stability to do that.
The flea doctrine.
It says, and I will bring them beginning into their land that I gave to their fathers, which is Israel. So the Most High is going to evict the 48ers and give us that land back, all of it. Just like he said unto Abraham, from the Nile to the Euphrates. Esau don't have that. That's why he's going on a rampage now. He's trying to call the Abrahamic Accord. Behold, I will send for many fishers, said Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, they shall fish them. They shall the elect. Tell them who their enemy is. Building them up. Telling them what the mark of the beast is. And after, I will send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and all of the holes of the rocks. But then after that, the Most High is going to raise his men up in power, give them spiritual power. Because when Esau comes, it says he's going to lift up a standard against them. When you go into that word standard, it means to hide, to disappear, or to put to flight. So if you put somebody to flight, that means you got them running from you. And what he said in Joshua, that one man of you shall chase 1,000. And I says, 10 shall put, I forget how it's worded, but just 10 brothers could put together 1 million troops. It's not going to take a lot. Just one, because imagine during the time of the Assyrians, I think one angel slaughtered like 80,000 Assyrian troops.
That was around the time, was it, who was ruling at that time of Assyria? King Sennacherib?
Yep, I believe he came against the northern kingdom. The Most High rose up an angel. Even during the time of David, the Most High rose up an angel to slay 80,000 Israelites.
For doing the census.
Because when David did a census on our nation, Most High judgment. So that when you get power, you pretty much like an angel. You know what I'm saying? You on level like an angel.
It's like how you slow. It's like you see in the movie, one man is killing off a whole bunch of people. You ever seen this? Was it the second Thor movie? The third one? That chick Hela, his sister came and she was just killing it. She was by herself, just like slaughtering the whole Asgard army and shit. She was just going through them by herself. Nothing they could do with it. You know what I'm saying? She was just slot. She was just like using her power, just like moving fast and going through them.
But that Esau knows, that's why he has super soldiers. It says in second Ezra, they shall be as madmen sparing none. So he's gonna need technology, robots, because he can understand the power that's coming. But even that ain't gonna help you. They ain't gonna do shit.
See, now when I thought about that's why the Lord allowed him to meet Simeon Topher. That's why the Lord allowed him to see those angels that came out of that cigar-shaped chariot, so he can build his military up. You know what I'm saying? He allowed him that so he can build them up. That goes back to Romans 9.
That's ended there. Get that, and we're gonna end it with there. And that's a beautiful point you just made, because the Most High has shown Esau certain things to get him ready. Because if you look at Esau's military, the things that he have, and you look at us, there's no way that we can take this man down. That's why it don't make no sense for you to try to go out and go to the gun range or start marching and shit. Look what happened to the no fucking around crew. They fucking disappeared.
No fucking around. They ain't around.
And then they were shooting themselves. It's their joke.
Yo.
That's not going to work. It's spiritual power. The Most High blessed Jacob, Israel, with the spiritual. Esau got the carnal. Not going to take him down with a carnal weapon.
The book of Romans chapter 9, verse 13. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
So that's not just talking about the patriarch. That's talking about every Edomite. the whole nation of Esau. All right, especially Amalek. All right, we won't fuck them up. We got specific judgments for them. Like it says in Isaiah, thine heart shall meditate terror. You know, even going back to the time of when we first left Egypt, they made war against us, man. During the time of Saul, David, you know.
As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. What shall we say then? Is that unrighteousness with Yahweh?
Right, there ain't no unrighteousness with the Most High, you know, because he had chosen one, and he rejected Esau. Esau's rejected, you know. But this is blessing right now, so we're saying rejoice and be glad. So enjoy it, you know.
Therefore, Yahweh forbid, verse 15, for he said to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I have mercy.
And when you go to Isaiah, he says, I will have mercy on Jacob and yet choose Israel and put them in their own land. Not Esau. Not no other nation. You other nations don't need you. If you're an Edomite, you're in the spirit of you don't need mercy. You got your President Trump, you know, you got your face on a dollar bill. You're living it up.
You got Caesar Borgia.
You got your white God. You know, you go anywhere in the world, white people are in rulership. You know, so you don't really need saving. It's the Israelites that are in a state of poverty that needs salvation. You know, we're in a state to where we can be lifted up. Esau is already exalted. Now you do have Edomites that are you know losing, but that's on them. Yeah. This is your world. How the hell you losing?
Two-time losing.
You know.
On whom I will have mercy, compassion. Verse 16. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth.
So it's nothing even they could do. Going back to them being in the womb, it's nothing Esau could have did to came out second. He had to come out first. And then the whole way they came out, Jacob holding on the hill, was symbolic of Jacob was going to take him down one day, starting with Yahushua, because Yahushua is from the line of the tribe of Judah. You know.
But if Yahweh showeth mercy, verse 17, the scriptures say unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up.
So it's the reason the Most High gave him nuclear missiles, a great, you know, give him up to a great sword to take peace from the earth. Gave him his military might, his direct energy weapons, his space force. It's the reason he got all this, you know, because it looks like he has the upper hand. You know, if you're looking at it with a carnal eye. You know, look, ain't no stopping this man. That's why Revelation says, who shall make war with the beast? He making fire come down from heaven. You can't do nothing with him. Now he like Jordan on the court. You know.
So here's verse 17. For the scripture said unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee.
So the Most High only build them up, you know, just so he could show his power. So that's like a grand master. You train somebody, give them all this,
just to fight
accolades, just so you could fight him and humble him with his ass. You know.
That my name might be declared throughout the whole earth.
Right, and with the destruction of this place and the deliverance of the Israelites, the name Yahweh Shem Shah is going to be magnified over all the world. You know, and to the point to where we get in rulership, the heathens, they're not going to be worshiping Allah. They're not going to be worshiping Buddha. These damn Indians, they're not going to be playing in cow dung, you know, putting it on the walls in the school and throwing it at each other and shit.
Woman with the 6 arms doing that statue, the woman that don't know what it is. I Christian, whatever you call that shit, you know what I'm saying? No more Caesar Borgia.
Definitely no more Caesar, man. You know, this is just going to be Yahweh by Shem Shah. You know?
So going back to what we were saying, that's why he said even I raised him up. So that's why he was able to, he exposed them to Semiotopo, those angels that came, you know, so he could, you know, so yeah, we got our military ready. So Semiotopo would say it's going to be more like him. You know what I'm saying?
That put some fear in his ass.
That's why they said, oh yeah, we gotta get set up darker, we gotta get these super soldiers, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, put fear in them. You know, that's what the Lord basically making them build up his military, getting the understanding knowledge to do so.
That's why he's gonna have to come down with graver. You can't just come down to Jake with, you know, this is Israelites, man. You know, you gotta meet force with force. So he keep coming down. He don't know what's gonna happen. An angel might show. You know, you might get the power right there. You know.
I was remember before I was in the truth. I remember watching something. That's why I was like, going into a lot of conspiracy theory videos and stuff. And it was this Edomite dude who was narrating. He said that the children of the Lord is going to be like have superpowers, and the government got these super soldiers that fight against each other. You know what I'm saying? So he saw it. You know what I'm saying? He said that.
With that, we're gonna close it. Want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makadosh. Say shalom to the whole elect.